dropping in on the party. Which of these teams is most likely to be this year's TCU? And I would argue that it's even more open than it was last year, because I thought Southern California was really good at this time last year. I thought Georgia was good, but playing down to their opponents. I thought Ohio State was really good this time last year. So I didn't see a TCU dropping in early October. Obviously, they did. But let me ask you about some teams if they could drop in on the race in the college football playoff. And one, Tennessee will play. You've got me a list of teams out there. You say Kentucky? Kentucky's not going to drop in on the college football playoff.
Okay, these are the teams that are undefeated that you wouldn't consider to have a legitimate shot at the playoff. So let's get the teams that have a legitimate shot that are undefeated out of the way. Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Texas, Florida State, Penn State, USC, Washington, Oregon, and Oklahoma. Those are the 10 undefeated teams that they have a shot at the playoff, right?
Yes.
Okay. There are 12 more teams. These are the ones I named that are still undefeated, that it would shock you if they stayed in the race. And they could be a nuisance for Tennessee, not just by playing Tennessee, or not just Tennessee, another team. Say you're one of those 1 or 2 loss teams trying to jockey for that 4th spot, but this other lower level team just won't lose like TCU did last year. That's right. Who I'm talking about. Which of those could be the nuisance? And that's who these 12 teams are. So.
Okay. I say Kentucky's not going to run. I don't think they'll be a nuisance, but I will give you this. I think that on this list that Kentucky is the most likely. So let's run through some of these other teams.
You want to Hank Kingsley and Tracy Morgan me for each one?
Oh, maybe.
Sound effects may not work right now, so it's okay. I'm sorry.
I thought it was. It was Tracy Morgan you there, but we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Missouri, I will say, that's crazy. I don't think that Missouri can drop in on the college football playoff. Could they be a nuisance? Well, if they're a nuisance, they would have to beat Tennessee. So I don't know that completely fits the criteria we're looking for.
If you're like at Penn State, though, in the Big Ten, could they be a nuisance for you?
Certainly. If they're a 1-loss Tennessee team, if they have 1 loss in the SEC, then I think that they're in the college football playoff conversation. Washington State in a surprisingly good Pac-12 that's about to be relegated, downgraded, whatever you want to call it. I think that's the situation.
Washington State did just beat Oregon State, who then turned around and beat Utah. And just for the record, but no, I don't think they'll be a nuisance because they have to visit UCLA, they have to visit Oregon, and then they have to visit Washington. They're not winning all 3 of those games. That's not possible.
So who out of this group, the rest of them, UNC, Miami, Louisville, Maryland, Fresno State, James Madison, Marshall, Air Force, Liberty? I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'll sound like I was last October, and that is I don't see a team breaking into the college football playoff from that group. Do you?
Watch out for UNC. They get Miami at home. Okay, so outside of Miami at home, their next 3 games are Syracuse at home, Miami at home, Virginia at home, and then Georgia Tech on the road, and then Campbell. Dave, if they beat Miami, they're going to start the year 9-0. And then they have Duke at home, by the way, at home, which they should win, even though Duke started the year undefeated. UNC getting Duke at home, UNC should win. Their only other tough game will be Clemson on the road, but this isn't your older brother's Clemson team. I didn't want to say father's Clemson team because it was just a few years ago they were good, but this isn't your older brother's Clemson team. So if UNC is 11-0 or 10-0 going to face Clemson on the road, I mean, that's not crazy.
Out of the group, I would say UNC, and I'm going to say partly because of Drake May, who I think is the MVP or MIP, most important player, the MIP, as I like to call it. I think he's the most important player on any team in the nation this year. I think he would affect the win-loss record for any team more than any other player going down or if he were absent. I think that I'm not going to tell you I know off the top of my head who it would be, but I think Caleb Williams, if something were to happen, USC's still good. Maybe the other is Shedeur Sanders. who I tell you guys, you've got to watch him. He is exactly what Tennessee wants Nico to be last year. I watched some tape actually last night, kind of catching up after a busy Saturday. That guy has light feet, can move. He is just, man, he's going to be not just a good NFL talent. He's going to be a special NFL talent. If you had to make me pick right now, and this is crazy, but if I had to pick between Hall of Fame and not, and I had to bet a mortgage payment, I'd be tempted to go NFL Hall of Famer. And that sounds insane. I know, Caleb, and it might happen after I'm dead, but I swear to you, I think he's that good. I can't believe that he was that hidden at Jackson State.
Yeah, we're talking Drake May and Shedeur Sanders are the two best quarterbacks for the NFL and college football right now. They are head and shoulders above everybody, including Caleb Williams. Yep. And a lot of Caleb Williams' stats that are so spectacular, it's because he holds the ball a long time to try to make a play, which is fine. You can't do that in the NFL. You hold the ball and try to move around behind the line of scrimmage to try to make a play, you're going to get rocked at some point.
Yeah, I think Bryce Young did that in his first year as a starter in 2021. I think he did a little bit too long. I think he learned his way out of it. I think Shedeur Sanders will do that as well.